A very good noon to all of you. So, we were discussing earlier about various cyber crimes and all, why we should study this information system security subject, and what is the motivation behind this. So, have you seen some days back there was news in the newspaper that some hackers they have hacked the gas line in USA. So that has created a very panic situation in America. So imagine services like gas distribution can also be hacked. So can you imagine? Because more and more dependency that we are creating on the internet, the more vulnerable, I mean, our services are becoming day by day. Since we are these days we are talking of IoT, and soon I think with the introduction of 5G, I think all of you are also familiar with the, have you studying something about the newses and everything about 5G and all? So there are many newses regarding 5G technology as well. Why I'm talking of 5G right now, because you must be thinking what is the connection of 5G with information security. So basically 5G will enable you it will enable more and more devices on internet. So ultimately the dream of our internet of things will be true, dream of augmented reality will be true, and dream of the driverless cars will be true. So imagine if a driverless car, that definitely that's working uh, on internet connectivity is the prime requirement for that. So just imagine if a driverless car is being hacked. So that will create a panic situation. So that's what we don't want actually. So more and more dependency which we are creating on internet, and the more and more platforms are transform you know are migrating on internet. So that is also creating a challenge for the technocrats, and that is creating an opportunity for people, for the hackers or for the cyber criminals. And at the same time, that is an opportunity for the people like the students like you, and for the scientist people. That's the opportunity to convert this challenge into an opportunity, and to just figure out more and more such methods which can make sure that your data remains secure. So there was a news in the newspaper that hackers have hacked the gas distribution services in America. In America, mostly cars and everything, they trucks, and they used to they need fuel as a gas. They used to call gas fuel. They used to call it gas. They don't call it like petrol and diesel. So the gas line is being hacked. So just imagine if something like that, electric grid can be hacked. So things can be hacked like that. And if they are on internet, I mean, they are convenient to control. If things are on internet, you can control them while sitting at your home. But at the same time, it also creates risk if there are vulnerabilities. What is the meaning of vulnerabilities? If I'm saying, for example, vulnerability, or we also call them loopholes. I mean to say, if for example you are for example, let's say, have you seen some movies, some old war movies? So in there they have some secret doors which they use while attacked by the enemies. So they have a secret door which is only known to the family of the king, and in the rarest of the rare case, they uses that loophole or the back door. So imagine if the enemies also came to know about the loophole. So in that case, they can make their army enter from that loophole or the back door. So that is what I mean to say. While designing systems or the softwares or the platforms, by mistake, there are certain loopholes remains in the system. In fact, okay, so by system, I mean it could be a Microsoft window also. While designing Windows or the operating systems, so there are many loopholes, and they still remain in the system. And the programmers, the programmers, those who program the Windows or the operating systems, they are very well aware of those loopholes. There are news many times that there was a person, or there's a student, he found a loophole in the Twitter or in the Facebook, and they have informed them, and in the Windows, and the companies then rewarded them with billions or millions of dollars. So that is what is they always appreciate if you can find out loopholes in the system, so that they can make sure that the existing system remains secure. So that's the basic idea behind all these things. So now coming back to some terminology. So I hope the slides are visible. So coming back to some basic terminology, because when we'll be studying all these things in theory, we need to be well versed with the basic definitions. So there are certain information security services. Throughout this in this subject, we will be using these terms frequently. So these are the services, we call them information security services. And the first and foremost is the confidentiality. So by confidentiality, we means that whatever discussion, whatever communication we are having, that remains confidential. By confidential, it means nobody other than the intended sender and receiver can listen to the communication. For example, right now, let's say if I'm delivering a lecture to all of you, I don't want anybody else other than MLBTNs to listen to this lecture. Although this lecture has nothing sensitive information, if it can be easily broadcasted, there is no such harm. But just suppose this is a discussion between the prime minister of, there is a war going on between Palestine and Israel. So let's suppose in this situation, the president, or I don't know, Benjamin Netanyahu is the president or prime minister, I'm not sure, of Israel. He used to call the United States president, and he has to discuss something regarding this war. And just suppose the discussion goes leaked. So that's what is not intended. That's what is not required. So that discussion or that dialogue between these two nations, or between the top leaders of the nation, that should remain confidential. So by confidentiality is the important information security services that make sure that whatever you are transmitting from one sender to another, that remains between them only. Nobody should be able to listen to their communication, okay, directly or indirectly, whatever it is. So that is what we call the confidentiality. And we used to use this word in a routine life as well many times, that this is a confidential data, this is a confidential piece of information. It means this is only for the target receiver. We don't want anybody else to hear that. In fact, while you are for example, you have seen in many movies also, there's a system of call recording or call tapping. If many times it happens, you have seen that the CBI or these secret agencies, they used to tap the mobile phones or the landline phones of any person upon whom they are having any sort of doubt. So it means whatever they are talking, that discussion or their calls can be heard by that agency also. So that is the violation of confidentiality between two parties, the sender and receiver. So that is what we call the confidentiality. This is the important service of this prime most it is a very, very important service that comes under information security. And this is the prime objective of information security, to maintain this confidentiality. And let me tell you at this point of time that generally in the data communication, in order to ensure confidentiality, we adopt a mechanism of encryption. Okay, I think most of you are familiar with this word encryption, or we also call there is one more term popular these days for encryption, that is encipherment. That's the one more term, that's the synonym of encryption. Encryption is more technical, encipherment is something like more generic word. So encipherment is the word. So if you encrypt the data, so only the sender who has encrypted with the secret key the sender can encrypt the data with the secret piece of information, and only the receiver who is having the copy of the key can only decrypt the data. That is what the encryption, the basic form of encryption is. So that ensures confidentiality. So if you are encrypting the data and decrypting the data on the receiver side, it means your data remains confidential. Nobody else other than the desired sender and receiver can listen to that communication. So another important service is integrity. So again, this integrity is the common word that we also use in a daily life. That says whatever I'm sending, whatever data is being sent from the sender, that should reach to the receiver as it is. There should not be any change in any piece of information also. It is not about that anybody else can listen to that communication. It is about change in the data. For example, let's say by just even the flipping of 1 or 2 bit. So there should not be a change in even a single bit of the data. So whatever data that is being sent from the sender, that should received as it is by the receivers. There should not be change of even a single bit. So that is what we call the integrity of the data. So it could happen many times. You have studied earlier also in the data communication, many times due to some natural noises or some natural calamities or some due to some transmission errors. There could be errors. They can also flip the bits. Okay, that is also a violation of integrity of the data. Okay, but other than that, the attackers or the hackers, they can also manipulate some part of the data. Okay, so that is also a violation of integrity, which is also not acceptable. So we need to make sure that whatever we are sending, that should receive as it is by the receiver. In fact, not a single bit change is desirable. So we need to make certain policies and certain protocols and certain algorithms are required to ensure that the integrity will remain intact. If you remember, there is an option of CRC. Can anybody tell me what was the full form of CRC? There was a option of CRC. We have, if you have studied in computer network, when we sent a packet, there is an option of CRC in that. That makes sure that none of the bit has been manipulated. So can anybody tell me what is the full form of CRC? Anyone?
Cyclic redundancy check.
Yeah, that's very good, Hemu. That's the cyclic redundancy check. That's a simple concept that says, for example, that's a very simple concept that what it says. Let's say, for example, if I'm sending the data as 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. Let's suppose this is my data which I'm sending. Let's imagine that this is my data. So I will, let's say, I'll make a quick sum of this. I will make a sum of the data. And what is the sum of this? Can anybody tell me quickly? What is the sum of digits from 1 to 10? Let's suppose this is X, anything. Okay, so let's suppose this is X. So my message is the information from 1 to 10, and the sum of this information is, let's say, X. So with this information from 1 to 10, what I will be doing, I will be sending X as well. So receiver, when receiver will receive the data, receiver will again add all these values and it will check whether the sum of all these values is equal to X. If it is not, it means that any of the information part is manipulated. For example, let's say any attacker has manipulated this 7 and has changed this 7 to, let's suppose, 11. So definitely then in the receiver side, when the sum will be calculated, it will not be X. It will be something other than X. So that simply says that this message is being tampered by anybody. Okay, so what receiver will do generally in computer networks, receiver in that case will simply discard the packet. And when the packet is discarded, the sender has to resend the packet. Okay, in this case, this X, we call it hash. Technically we call it hash. So when we will study this subject, we'll see how to generate hash codes. Okay, so this is hash code, and there are popular algorithms like SHA-128. I'm not sure you have studied this or not, but this is one of the very popular algorithms, SHA-128, and there are many more algorithms like there are algorithms like MD5, and these are the algorithms which are already designed, and these algorithms are used by your computer system, by your browser when sending data from let's say when you're doing any banking website. If you're sending your passwords and any information data from your banking website to the banking server, so they are already using these these algorithms like SHA-128, MD5. So these are the algorithms they use to produce hash. Okay, the hash is important service. What hash ensures? Hash ensures integrity. Okay, so that the data is not manipulated. It's not about confidentiality, it is about integrity. And for encryption, the popular algorithms which are used is the triple DES is one algorithm which is used. AES is the another algorithm that is used. So there's many more algorithms which are used for encryption. So if you just go onto the browser and just open any banking website, just do one thing you can do. Just go on to Google open the website of, let's say, SBI, and then once you open the website of SBI, you can see there is in the URL there is a lock icon. Okay, there is an icon of lock. Just click onto that icon of lock. Okay, and then you will get the more information about that site that says connection is secure, and then you can also find out what are the various algorithms they are using to ensure all these security policies into their website. Okay, so you just do it by yourself. I want you just to go and find out what are the various algorithms being used. So this will definitely motivate you for studying all these algorithms. So another important point of information security service is availability. So the availability, the service indicates the whatever information that we want or the data that we want should remains available. Okay, for example, let's say if I want to access the data from any server, and in any situation the server is not responding, there could be various reasons for that. Okay, that server is not responding. Okay, so that is also again a desirable services, that whatever data we want, that data should be accessible to us, the data should be available to us. You must be heard of an attack we call DOS, denial of service attack, one of the very popular attack. What does this DOS ensures is, if you want some services, just try to disrupt this service. Okay, for example, if I want to access my result from, let's say, RTU website, and somebody has performed some sort of denial of service attack onto the RTU server, in that case the server will become busy, very busy. It will become so busy that it won't be able to respond the authentic requests. Okay, which is the request from you and me, that's the authentic request. So it won't be able to entertain the authentic request. Why? Because why because there are some people with bad intentions, and they have performed some sort of attack on that kind of on that particular server. Now you might wonder, how is it possible? Is such kind of attack possible? Yeah, that is possible. If the servers are not I mean, if the websites are not properly designed, they can be easily attacked. You can simply just ping. That's a command called ping, that you can make a very simple program in your computer system, and that will be a script for, and you just make it a infinite loop, and just start sending pings to the IP address of that server. Okay, whatever be the IP address of that website, you just start pinging that. Okay, and if that server is not properly configured, that server will keep on entertaining your ping request, and it will start opening HTTP connections. Okay, because they are HTTP connections, request connections. In computer network we have studied, we send HTTP request message, then server responded by HTTP response message. It says okay, so after every connection request it will reserve some resources, and we know that server has limited resources. So once we will be having indefinite request, server will be exhausted soon. It will reserve all its resources, and it won't be able to respond to the authentic request of the users. So that's what we call denial of service. So that's attack, denial of service. And there is a worst form of denial of service is DDoS. Abhi, I'm just telling you DDoS, but you can just go and Google it out. DDoS, that's a distributed denial of service. That's even the way technology is expanding. So denial of service was the attack done by a single attacker to the server. Distributed denial of service is something many attackers from different locations are attacking upon a single information source. That's a distributed denial of service. And many times what happens, these different systems, and very interesting thing is, any attacker or any intruder, I will use the word intruder, I'm writing here, intruder, that's the generic word, intruder. Okay, as per your syllabus, intruder. So any intruder, if there is a smart intruder or the smart hacker, they won't attack from their own system. They never attack from their system. They attack on different websites from systems of people like you and me. Now you will wonder, sir, how am I involved in this? That is true. Even you won't get any idea that your system was involved. So what happens, they explore the loopholes of your operating system. So first of all, what they used to do is they just take the control of your systems, okay, in the background, so you don't know that your control is being hacked. And they may install some sort of worms, in your system, and they can make your systems zombie. We call them, there's a word called zombie. I think you have seen some movies. There was they movies were very popular in Hollywood. Okay, zombies. So in that's a technical word, zombie. Zombie is a computer system which is infected. So they make your systems zombie first, and once the system has become zombie, now these zombies used to attack on the other systems. So if any case, if you find out who was attacking onto the system, so then you'll find out there was a zombie, and you will say, oh, I don't know, I have no idea, my system was involved. Okay, I'm innocent, I have no idea about that. So that's the thing is, even if you remember, there was a 9/11 attack in Mumbai. So in that case also, when it was found out what internet connection was used, then it has been come to know that the Wi-Fi connection of some US guy was there, and when he was caught by the police, that your connection was used, your IP address is there, then he said, I had no idea. Actually, his Wi-Fi was he has a Wi-Fi connection which was not secured. Okay, and his Wi-Fi connection was used by the terrorist to connect with the internet. So that is the thing is, okay, so there are so many things, by knowingly or unknowingly we become part of the cyber crime. So that is what the availability. So this is also a very important service. So we need to ensure that the information should remain available. So by any case, nobody should be able to attack on the resource center, that mostly the servers, or that's information should remain available 24/7, or whatever time we want, that information should be available to us. That's also a very much important information security service. Authentication, one more important service, authentication. That is very important. Authentication. Let's say if I receive some message, let's say from let's say Avichal sent me any message, Avichal sent me an email that, sir, tomorrow we are going for this, and let's say Avichal sent me a message, sir, I'm in very much financial crisis, I'm not able to deposit this semester's fees, and can you help me? And this is my bank detail, and can you just transfer me this semester's fees? I'll return you after 10 days or 15 days. Due to lockdown, there was some issues at home. So I just checked, the mail came from an email ID, let's say Avichal Vishnoi121@gmail.com, and I trusted that, okay, this is the name of Avichal, so this might be the email ID of Avichal. So what I have done, I will transfer the amount. And then I called Avichal, I have transferred the amount into your account. He said, sir, which kind of amount are you talking about? I told him that I got a mail from you. He said, no, sir, I didn't send any mail to you. This is not my email ID. My email ID is Avichal Vishnoi, let's say, for example, 2020. Oh, then boom, all of a sudden I realized that I have transferred the amount in any fake account. That account exists in, let's say, in any different state. So that's what is the authentication is very important. I need to make sure that this email actually came from Avichal Vishnoi. That is very important. So that is what the authentication is. So there should be ways and means in the information security by which you can ensure that the originator of the information is the authentic sender. I mean, if I'm getting any request, or then I must make sure that I'm getting it from the authentic sender. Okay, so for that there is a mechanism we call digital signature. We have a mechanism of digital signature in information security literature. This digital signature ensures like it is like the physical signature kind of system. Let's say, for example, if I sign on a check, it represents bank that I'm the original issuer of this check, because my sign, generally we believe that the sign system, the physical sign system, it cannot be easily copied. Okay, so bank has some mechanism, they can find out that this is the original sign. So similarly, when we are working in digital era, when we are working with digital system, we need some digital format for that. So for that we have a digital signature mechanism that ensure that I mean, if this message is from Avichal, it will bear the digital signature of Avichal. And I'm not going to I'm not going to verify digital signature. Everything is done by system only. This will be done by the browser only. your browser will automatically identify that this is a valid digital signature or not. Okay, so we'll study in detail all these things. So I just want to tell you at this point of time that this authentication is a very important service, and you must make sure that the information came from original sources. So, and for that, the digital signature is the mechanism which we uses. And there's one more service that is non-repudiation. The service is non-repudiation. Non-repudiation is a service that ensures that if two parties, sender and receiver, if they have made some sort of transaction, okay, then later on nobody can deny that I was not the part of this transaction. For example, if I'm using my online banking ID and password and I have done some transaction in my online account, I have instructed my bank to transfer this much amount to any other account, and then later on if I complain to the bank that no, I was not there, it was not me who made this transaction, then bank will say no, it's not true, because they believe that you are the I mean, you had the ID, you had the secure password of your digital account, you has the mobile number for OTP, everything you were having. So it means when you made some transaction, you later on cannot deny that you have made this transaction. So that's the service we call non-repudiation service. That's also a very important service in information security. So these are the 5 basic services which will be, I mean, studied in detail in this subject by us. So ultimately we are going to study these 5 services in detail. So we'll be studying all the algorithms, all the protocols, all the mechanisms which are there in the practical world, which helps us to attain all these 5 services. Okay, so we are going to study all these services in detail in the next lecture, and we'll cover some more basics later on. So some attack types are there, so we'll cover these attack types and all in the next session. So is there any doubt? We can take a quickly, if there is any doubt, we'll quickly take some doubts. Actually I have one more session in 4 o'clock, that's why. If there is any doubt, we'll quickly take the doubts, or we can just complete the session. No doubt. Okay, that's great. We should have some doubts. Okay. Okay, enjoy the weather. Let's say great day and take care of yourself and your family. Okay, bye.